interesting what Kevin said. I don't know if any of you watch the King's Fund closely, but Chris Ham had a talk on YouTube just recently. He's talking about the progress in the UK towards integrated care systems and how they've got 10 underway. And in that he talks about alliancing, he talks about system leadership, he talks about collective accountability, and he talks about how distributed leadership is also necessary in these systems. He also talks about the fact there's no roadmap. Nobody knows what an integrated care system actually looks like because they emerge and evolve as of themselves in a more of an organic sort of way. But he also continues that direction of travel that an integrated care system is actually the necessary building block for a future health system. And so the NHS is pursuing this. They're pursuing it in smaller units, somewhere between sort of 50,000 to the very biggest ones are sitting between 500,000 and 750,000. When you think about it, it's not that different to what we have in New Zealand. Certainly when I'm working in the UK, I get a lot of envy for the New Zealand system and about how we've created, using the District Health Board model, that opportunity for, in fact, integration to happen at a local level, being responsive to the needs of a population. So if that in mind, take you on, and I like the way Kevin put that this is not the end of the journey. There was a lovely quote about this is not the end. It might be the beginning, it might be the end of the beginning, but it's not the end. So the consultation started 5th of March, closed on the 10th of April. We had uncounted people, no we did count them, but we had about 850 plus people attending in the DHB meetings. Sector agents also held regional meetings. We met with consumer organisations, we met with small groups and we met with large groups. So a lot of people got engaged in this, which is kind of exciting because it actually means there's quite a lot of people who are interested in how we do this and whether there's an opportunity to make a difference. We also had over 1,150 completed written submissions received of various types. So some came in on the online questionnaires, some were emailed from organisations and some were emails from individuals. We did ask people to self-identify, so there's a potential overlap between community pharmacy contract holders and registered pharmacists. In other words, some of the registered pharmacists might have been community pharmacy contract holders but didn't say so. So, but that gives you a sense of the breakdown. Some consumers, some pharmacy technicians, some other healthcare providers. There was about 921 individualised responses, and there was also a group of responses where people were largely sending in cut and paste of the same thing, which is fine because that always happens in consultations. So, as I said, we understand that the sector agents held their own meetings and they probably also had a high number of submissions and conversations, and there's lots of conversations and they have continued. One of the things that became apparent to us in that process was that some people were a little bit confused about how the sector works, and I'm not surprised they're confused because some of it's about how we tend to use language. But the reality is that DHBs, there isn't a national funding model for pharmacy, there isn't a national bucket. There isn't even a national bucket for Pharmac either. So Pharmac has a budget, that's the budget they work to. How it falls across all of the DHBs actually depends on what those DHBs use. And it doesn't necessarily relate to their share of the national funding pool either. So some DHBs spend more than their population-based share on pharmaceuticals and some DHBs spend less. So it's one of the things that one particular submission we saw that said, we don't want the Ministry of Health to stop funding pharmacy and give it to the DHBs. Well, actually the DHBs fund pharmacy. And the relationship is actually between the DHBs and pharmacy, and as I said, that's partly about supporting that local service integration, that opportunity for pharmacy, the NGOs, PHOs, etc., to work together because they're all funded from the same bucket. And when I go to Australia, as some of you do, they are very jealous of the fact that we have all of that funding coming into one bucket instead of split between federal and local and state, which does make working together really hard. So, key themes. We're going to publish a more detailed summary of the key themes on TAS website. We're also doing a more detailed analysis which will be published in due time. Comments we received on local services, new opportunities, so people gave us some good ideas. Lots of comments we received on the future separation of Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. Contract structure, a lot of issues around evergreen contracts, review, change processes, and other matters. This slide highlights some of the key themes that came out. This reflects specifically the submissions we've already published. So there are a range of roughly, what was it, Rachel? About 15 that were substantive submissions that largely came from the people in this room. So that's why you got invited, is because you were the people that made the substantive submissions. And these are the key themes that came out of those substantive submissions. And also were the key themes that happened in the local consultations that we had with the various parts of the sector. So, evergreen contracts, Schedule 1 and 2, contract structures.